Welcome to another episode of Message from Mom, where we're busting the myth that mothers in law aren't necessarily monsters in law. And we have actually a very personal topic today because we are going to take a behind the scenes look of an influencer, which happens to be me. And both of you, my lovely co hosts, happen to work with me. And so I will introduce them because they do happen to be my daughters in law. And to the left of me is Kelly.
I am Kelly, and I'm married to Beth's oldest son, Alex.
And to the right of me is Chelsea.
Hi, I'm Chelsea, and I'm married to Beth's middle son, Andrew.
Yeah, so this is going to be a very fun, personalized, behind the scenes look at influencers. But before we get to that, let's raise a toast because we know that you don't have to be a blood relative to love your relative. So cheers, ladies.
Cheers.
To another episode.
Cheers.
I think this is number 29. I think 27. Yeah, 29.
29.
I'm pretty impressed. Oh, that's
Yeah.
right. I have to take a sip, otherwise it's bad luck. It's reminding me. I just started going blah, blah, blah. But yes, I'm very excited. So, as I said, we're just going to take a behind the scenes look in the day of the life of an influencer, digital content creator, blogger, YouTuber. I mean, there are a lot of words bandied around of, what we're actually called these days. But I thought it would be fun because I will be celebrating 10 years in the industry. I cannot even believe that. In March of 2025, it will be 10 years. And it was just really kind of a ragtag beginning. My late husband was still alive. He had a camera. We would go out we were living in San Francisco at the time. We would go on the streets of San Francisco and snap a photo of my latest outfit of the day, and now I'm even like looking back at some of those outfits and I was like, oh my gosh, what was I thinking? I wasn't even,
We all do that.
I wasn't even like
10 years ago.
It was 10 years ago, but anyway.
My outfits from 10 years ago, I'm like,
I know, but it's hilarious because those can be, snatched. And I found myself on, CNN, their digital
What not to wear.
what not to wear. And then I'm also like, yeah, but that was 10 years ago.
Yeah.
That's not quite,
relevant.
yeah, it's not quite apples to apples. But anyway, it's been quite the trajectory. 10 years ago, well, not quite 10, but almost 10. It was not even a career path. It wasn't even a job. It was just kind of
A hobby, really.
collectively
Yeah.
people getting together and sharing their passion for, I happened to step into the fashion realm. It could have been food. It could have been, another travel,
Another one.
another avenue, but I happened to step into the fashion world and just to see what has happened in 10 years, because not even being a career or a job 10 years ago, now it ranks in the top 10 jobs that people want.
Crazy.
So, yeah, doctor, lawyer, Indian chief, and now social media influencer. And I think that is because so much of our lives really revolve around social media these days.
For sure.
And when I was first starting out, I can remember Andrew telling me I needed to get on Instagram. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm like, what's that? Now I have to learn, something else. Instagram, I'm like, I'm just now trying to figure out my blog. So, but just the day in the life of an influencer, I think there are a lot of misconceptions about us that we're in the moment all the time. And that when you see this beautifully crafted Instagram reel or TikTok snippet or over on YouTube, that's really just pretty much off the cuff and there's no prep time involved at all. So I will dispel that. I will dispel that rumor right away because, and actually, one of the things that I will share, if it really does look very organic and seamless, that is a video or reel or TikTok that has quite a bit of work that has gone into it beforehand. So, and so I'll just share so what does a typical day in the life look like? Because as I said, I started out with fashion and I will always share an outfit of the day. And that's actually how I got my start. And I will continue to share an outfit of the day because that's really what people still tune in to see. They like to see what I'm wearing, and I really just liken it to, I mean, I have to get up and get ready every day anyway, so
Mhm.
why not make it the best that I can? And so then now I can fill different things into my life and share different aspects of my life. So that's travel. I love to travel, so
Mhm.
we'll have travel segments, or I'll go off and have a weekend getaway, or we do have recipes over on the blog. Kelly joins me every Friday. We call it Fridays with Oscar. So we share a cocktail and a recipe because I think food is very
Mhm.
important.
Mhm.
So we have lots of different verticals that we've included, but at the end of the day, it really is. We do share an outfit every single time
Yeah.
I step in front of the camera.
Not to
Mhm.
interrupt you, but before you get too far sharing the day in the life of, can
Mhm.
you remind us all like how you actually turned sharing a photo of an outfit of the day into something more?
Oh, sure. Well, it's kind of a crazy story. So, and I will harken this back to, I mean, the blog started in 2015, but I did start in 2014
It was on Tumblr,
on
right?
Tumblr.
Yeah.
So, and I was really I was going to be a writer. I was going to publish a book. That's how I got into this whole space, because I had a literary agent that told me that I needed a social media presence. So I racked my brain about what I could do that would be somewhat interesting, somewhat authentic. And I had this light bulb moment where I was cognizant of the 20 something sharing an outfit of the day. And I'm like, oh, that's it. I can do that. I love fashion. I can share an outfit of the day. And who cares if I have gray hair? I think I was 56 when I
Mhm.
started. I'm like, we still love fashion just as much. So that's how I started. And when I went out to research, like starting a blog at that time, I was so overwhelmed because you
Mhm.
practically had to be a computer scientist
Yeah.
I feel
to
like you still have to be like
You still
that.
kind of
change them.
do.
Yeah.
Not much has changed, but anyway, I was so overwhelmed. I'm like, okay, I need to figure out something
Mhm.
else. I can't do a blog right now. I can't learn it. I can't do it. I don't have the time.
Plus, you also had a retail job
Mhm,
at the
mhm.
time
I was
too, so
working
it
at
wasn't.
Bloomingdale's
Yeah,
at the
so it wasn't
time.
like you weren't.
Right? Yes.
You didn't have all the time in the world,
No, I
basically.
was working full time, which actually, I mean, and that job really helped. It came alongside and really helped me with starting the blog and all of that. But anyway, I discovered Tumblr when I was out researching
Mhm.
an easy, fast and easy way to, to post an outfit of the day. So I discovered Tumblr, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is great because you could put like 8 photos together.
Mhm.
And it kind of looked like a blog post, but it was
Mhm.
on a social media channel
Mhm.
at
Mhm.
the time. So I started off with Tumblr, and my late husband Mac would take my photos, and
Mhm.
I can even remember the boys at one point they were like, "Oh my gosh, the photos are so terrible. Let's buy dad a camera." So they all chipped in. I think it was for his birthday, and they,
Aw.
and they bought him a Canon Rebel camera.
Yeah.
So that instantly elevated our
Mhm.
photos. So we started off on the streets of San Francisco. So Mac, and a lot of times it would be me before I went off to work. We would snap a
Mhm.
photo, and then I would put it on Tumblr. So it's super easy to navigate. I could put 8 photos up, and if I wanted to say something, I mean, sometimes I didn't even say anything. I just posted the photos, and then
Mhm.
sometimes I would say like off to work, or
Yeah.
something pretty exciting like that. So it's very humble beginnings on Tumblr, and I never really even checked in on what was going on. I mean, I would just post every day. I do know that I was very consistent. I do know that one of the key ingredients to success is being consistent.
Mhm.
So I was devoted to that. So we had out 7 days a week. I was posting an outfit of the day, and a lot of times Mac and I, because we lived close to San Francisco State University,
Mhm.
so we would just pack a bag and then shoot all the content. Like if I was really on top of my game, we would shoot a whole week's worth of
Mhm.
content in one day. We go up to the campus because lots of
Where
different
did you change your outfits?
in the bathrooms there,
Okay.
because it was, because it's university. So they have,
Yeah.
so they have easy access to bathrooms. It's
Sure.
great, and different locations. And
Yeah.
so, we could shoot 7 different scenes,
Mhm.
and it would all look different. So
I
that's,
love that Mac was so supportive of
he
this because
was,
I
he
feel like
was,
most husbands would be like, "What am I doing
He was so
today?"
great.
He
I
was
mean, he he
really
was al he
was.
was already retired, and he was
Yeah.
an immediate fan. And actually, so there again, so being on Tumblr, I never even checked my account because
Mhm.
I only had like 9 followers. I mean, I was like everybody else at the beginning. I had zero point zero followers. And I'll never forget. So one day I was at work and actually Matt called me and he's like, because he did check my account every single day. I mean, he
Yeah.
was always so good about that
Oh,
and so cute about that. And so he called me at work and he's like, "Have you checked your Tumblr account recently?" I'm like, "No, that would be too depressing because I have 9 followers and I might only have 8
and
because
3 of them are my
I know.
children.
Well, but and every time you post, you could
Yeah.
lose followers. You know,
Right.
when you have enough, you don't really notice that you're losing followers because you're gaining them too. But back when you have like 10 followers, you really notice if 2 drop off. I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah.
it's just pretty obvious. But anyway,
Yeah.
so he wouldn't tell me why to log into my account. So anyway, I logged into my account and I had gone from 9 followers to 15,000 in the space of hours
That's
because
so crazy.
so I went viral over on Tumblr.
Yeah.
So my account was like I think I was sandwiched in between Ellen DeGeneres and NBC Nightly News. 'Cause everybody was
Wow.
represented. It was kind of a
Yeah.
bigger platform back then.
Mhm.
Although I still think I
I
mean
think Tumblr was a precursor to Instagram just
Uh-huh.
as far
Yeah,
as
it
being like
was.
the
sure.
photographic
Mhm. It
social
was.
media
Well, I think
channel.
ultimately any influencer will tell you all you need is that one
Mhm.
That one thing.
post to go
That's
viral.
right. So anyway, and I'll never forget because my children were all like, "What? Mom just went viral?" You know, so they're like all like just scratching their head.
Oh.
How did this happen? So anyway, so that was really the trajectory for me.
Mhm.
So I went viral. And actually, Tumblr, I went viral like 4 more times that year on Tumblr.
Wow.
So they liked my account. I'm not exactly sure why.
Mhm.
I don't know what God's reign over on Tumblr. I don't know how any of this works, but I do know that I started to have a different attitude towards the outcome of my social media presence. And there again, I just went back to thinking, okay, if I'm going to do this, then I need to do it right. And I need to figure out the blog and I need to figure out
Mhm.
how to get a WordPress site going. And actually, that's when my oldest came along and he knew how to program a little bit. And he came along. And so we got a little ragtag template up. And then and honestly, then I had to figure everything out for myself. And like
Yeah.
Andrew would say, "Oh, you need to be on Instagram." Okay. Well, that's how I felt at the beginning. And honestly, I really felt I was just on this huge, steep learning curve because it's like,
Mhm.
oh, well, you need an email. Um, account where you can send off, you post every day and then you'll send it off to email
Like starting a
subscribers.
small business.
Yeah,
You were.
Newsletter, yeah.
yeah.
Mhm.
So, and I honestly, at that time, there were not a lot of avenues to make revenue,
Mhm.
but it was just taking off. So, and I do remember when I first partnered with a brand. So I'll fast forward. So 2014 is when I started on Tumblr, and then 2015 was like, okay, we're gonna take this seriously. So then that's when the blog was launched in 2015,
Wow.
March of 2015, and then getting Mailchimp for my email
Mhm.
subscribers, and then um partnering with brands and Instagram and then Facebook and then I mean it's just been one step after another, but so those were the early days and I had no idea that I could make a living off of this or turn it into a small business, and I'm pretty sure that everybody at that time we were pretty much thinking the same thing.
Yeah, for
Mhm.
sure.
But there were a couple of things that came into play, and especially being a fashion influencer, blogger, creator. One of the companies they were called Reward Style at that time, but now they're called LTK, and that's really what revolutionized my life. And I can remember reading somewhere that you need to apply to become a reward style
Mhm.
influencer, and it's really hard to get in.
Yeah.
They turn down everybody, and so don't expect to get in on your first round and all of that. But you need that was like on my to do list. So I'm like, okay, well, I'm gonna apply for reward style. So I did, never thinking that I would get in on my first try, but I did get in on my first
Mhm.
try because even at that time I had enough traffic that was um, under their parameters of what they needed. So I got in right away. So I was like, oh, okay. this is great. And I'll never forget. So it was October of 2015 that I posted my first post that linked up to
Wow.
reward style. And Mac and I were completely blown away when we saw the earnings
Yeah.
from
So just
that first post.
to
We're
tell
like,
everyone what actually
what?
reward
Right on.
style is,
Mhm.
it's an affiliate linking
Mhm.
program that actually
Yes.
lets you um, link. You use a special widget
Mhm.
that lets you create
That's
a
right.
special link
That's
for
right.
then people on your who are visiting the blog to click on the link, and
That's
then
right.
they can shop the item,
That's right.
And you
and
earn
you earn a
commission.
commission off of it.
That's
Yeah.
exactly what it is.
Full Monday look like as an influencer?
Well, we've actually gotten a lot of processes into place and we batch a lot of work out, which means we double up.
Mhm.
So every other Monday, I work with my photographer, Jess, who's amazing. And she's also a wedding photographer. And I think we're going to have her on a future episode. We're going to talk about weddings. So
Yes.
if you're interested in a really good wedding photographer in the Georgia area, she's amazing. So Jess comes over for photos late in the day. We try to get the golden hour. Kelly comes over as well. So we will get 2 weeks worth of photos shot in one session. So that's every other Monday.
Mhm.
And then honestly, I mean, Monday morning rolls around and I'm always catching up on my emails and, what's happened over the weekend. I'll have comments to answer on all the different social channels. I sometimes have meetings with brands, and that can happen any day of the week. I do try to schedule most everything on Mondays and Tuesdays.
Mhm.
I always have a YouTube meeting with my videographer, and then we go over what we're going to be shooting that week, coming weeks, and then B roll that we would like to shoot. Because there again, we try to batch it out. So sometimes I will even film 2 videos in one day, and that's usually on Tuesday. But
That's a lot.
it's a lot. So yeah, so that's what Monday looks like. So Tuesdays are really the same. So emails, comments, shoot the YouTube videos. Wednesday is a lighter day for me. So then it's just like any brand collabs that I have.
Live.
I do a live over on Instagram. I do have a dating series. So
Yeah.
I worked with a dating coach at one point, Treva. And so I have a dating series over on Instagram that we do live on Wednesday afternoons. And then um, that's pretty much what I have for Wednesdays. Thursdays, if I'm really on my game, and then also I haven't really talked about all the planning and prep that it goes in to choosing all the outfits
Yeah.
that I will be shooting with my photographer, that I will be filming for reels and then sharing over on YouTube. So that is really kind of like a day by day uh basis. And then I'm like looking at brands. I'm seeing, okay, if it's summertime, what are we doing? Am I going to the beach? Then I need some swimsuits.
Well, it's not, I mean, it's a lot like
try to-
a magazine,
Mhm.
where you're really
It really
thinking
is.
weeks and months ahead of time
Mhm.
as to like
Mhm.
what kind of content you want to produce, and
Absolutely.
how you're going to make it happen, and how you
For
tie
sure.
that into
Absolutely.
other relevant things
Mhm.
Well, and I
also.
think
So
the one hard thing about your job too is you
Mhm.
want to work ahead, but you can't work too far ahead
Right.
because then the products that you're,
That's
the
right.
clothes that you're showing
Right. We'll be out
will
of stock.
be out of stock.
I just had somebody come over just the
it's
other day.
really hard.
This is out of stock and that's out of stock. And I'm like, and I just answered her. I'm like, nothing makes me sadder is to have something out of stock, because then,
Yeah.
I mean, A, you don't have it, and B, I'm not making that sale. I'm not
Yeah.
making that commission. So it's not that I want things to go out of stock, but they do,
And
unfortunately.
it's
For
really
sure.
hard to know what is going to sell
I know.
quickly.
Mhm.
That's the other thing is
Mhm.
you can be as current as possible, but
Mhm.
yet you have no idea if something's going to become super popular and sell out immediately.
Mhm.
So it's a gamble.
Absolutely.
It's really
Sure.
hard.
So yeah, and then so then on Thursdays I try to film my reels,
Mhm.
and I try to batch that out too and get the whole week done. So I shoot like 5 or 6 reels. I think it's 5 now.
Mhm.
So 5 reels per week, and then every other Friday we have Fridays with
Fridays with
Oscar,
Oscar.
so that we shoot
Yeah.
that. So Kelly comes over. We are making our recipes and cocktails, and yes,
We do 2 of those. We do
Okay.
2 weeks at a time.
So
So we
batch
film
it out.
we film 2 Fridays with
Mhm.
Oscars
Mhm.
every other Friday.
So really every
So
day we do try to be thoughtful, be smart, batch things out,
Mhm.
and then so that's what a typical week work looks like. So yes, it is a lot of work and a lot of people are involved to,
Mhm.
to bring this to life every day and every week. And because we do have so many verticals, so I am on all of the channels where most influencers pick one and concentrate on that. So we have quite a few, but I can only bring everything to life because I do have a great team behind me.
Mhm.
Otherwise, I would just be a one note
Mhm.
wonder. And I will share this with you. Anyone that's interested in becoming an influencer, I would suggest that you have more than one platform.
Yeah.
You don't, I mean, you may become very popular on TikTok and maybe you'll be fortunate enough to have a million followers. But even so, I would highly recommend that you have another channel as well
For sure.
because it's a very saturated market now. So when I first started off, we didn't even know this was an industry. There were very few of us, and I will tell you, very few over 50 bloggers or
Mhm.
influencers. And now I look on any channel, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, it is completely saturated. I
Yeah.
mean, every
Mhm.
day there is a new influencer on
That's
board.
true.
Mhm.
That's true.
But and then also too, it takes, as I said, it takes a team. It takes a lot of hard work to get it operating like a small business. And we just had this statistic shared with us that 50% of influencers make $15,000 or less.
Yeah.
And so that shows you that even though it is a very desirable job, especially for the Gen Zers, and they
Mhm.
think they're going to be that YouTube star, that makes a gazillion dollars, and you totally can. But the reality is, it's like sports,
Mhm.
it's like Hollywood, it's like TV. There are very few people that make it into the the big leagues or
The top
land
1%.
land that TV show or land that
Yeah.
movie or whatever it is. So
Well, and I think that's one of the misconceptions that people have about being an influencer is
mhm,
that I think there's this idea or this thought maybe that like these influencers are all just making shit tons of money and
right,
like can, live the rest of their lives in high fashion and high
right.
style. But like ultimately there's a very, 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 what would you say, like 1%
I think
maybe
so.
It's like
actually make
1%
enough
that
to live
I
off of and to
I'm
be,
guessing.
yeah.
I'm
So
guessing.
I mean,
Mhm,
it's not something that you can just dive into and
mhm,
expect to be successful at it, but
mhm,
it takes something very different and special and maybe quite a bit of luck actually because
mhm,
I don't know because I'm sure that there are a lot of dedicated people, but like you said, it's like
mhm,
Hollywood or like
mhm.
striking it big. Like
It is.
you don't necessarily you
yeah.
can do all the hard work and
Mhm.
be just as dedicated and
You can do
everything, but
all the right
I think there's
things.
a little
you
bit of
never
luck,
know.
but I think it's the
Mhm,
consistency
mhm,
that of the influencers that really do well
mhm,
Yeah.
that pay off.
mhm,
And then I think there is something to be said about like the ones that do make it big. There is something special about them that catches
mhm,
people's eye. Whether so, I'm thinking in particular, there's a girl, Alex Earl, who's a huge influencer over like the Gen Z and even some of the millennials.
mhm,
And she basically, I mean, she skyrocketed from, I think I followed her when she had 100,000 followers on TikTok. She has like 0.7 million now
mhm,
in a
Wow.
span of a year.
mhm.
Wow.
But I think the thing that people liked about her is she was relatable.
Right,
Mhm.
She was the influencer that as a Gen Z, she was showing, oh, I look great, but then here's really what my skin looks like
right.
without the beauty filter on.
Mhm.
And I think
Interesting.
that's maybe what people appreciate
Yeah.
about you too is that
Mhm.
you're going to keep it real and say,
That's right.
hey, I like this product
That's
and
right.
but I also don't necessarily care for this or,
Right. And I am very, very selective in that way, and I think that that's
Mhm.
why people do trust
Mhm.
me and trust my advice is because I have kept it real. I have been. I was never one of those influencers like, oh, I'm going to Rome today. Oh, I'm driving this amazing car.
Yeah.
I am pretty real. I'm, I share my age freely. I was one of the first bloggers out there that had gray hair. I used to get so much, shit about that,
Mhm.
and how I looked old. And I've always been about being the best version that we are as we age, not necessarily chasing the fountain of youth. So I do try to keep it
Right.
real.
Yeah.
I really
Right.
do. So,
I
yeah.
think that resonates in a bigger,
Mhm.
more sustainable way.
It does, yeah. And that's what
Definitely.
A lot
people
of
want to
other
see.
They do, and I am very selective with the brands that I do partner with, and so we do and we can go back and revisit this a little bit, brand sponsorships, that is a part of our revenue, and then also ads that we put on the blog and YouTube, but I'm very selective with brands. I'm still on the fence. I say this all the time. I mean, I can't tell you how many Amazon fashion bloggers there are nowadays because
That's true.
Amazon
Actually, there are
fashion
a
is
lot.
very, very
Yeah.
inexpensive, but I've been very hesitant because I'm more about sustainability. I'm more about quality and owning fewer items rather than having a new item to hawk every day. And sometimes it really does seem like that,
Mhm.
especially because the market is so saturated. And many times I do go over and I see bloggers and I know them, met them at conferences and things like that, but they have like one more thing or they're, I don't know. Sometimes I'm even overwhelmed at all of the
Yeah.
things that we are, yes, as I said, hawking over there. But I do try to keep it real with my brand partnerships.
You
And
do a good job of, I feel like you'll show an article of clothing and then we'll post it again. So, for
I
instance, you
try to.
posted a pink blazer that you've actually worn in maybe
Yes.
3 different outfits and 3 different versions of
Mhm.
how you could wear that
Mhm.
blazer, which is nice.
Because I think
Yeah.
that's also important too. And that's one of the things. So when I do come along, so it's always been important to me to share value.
Mhm.
So I like to share style tips. So it's not only am I wearing a new outfit, but I wanted to share. And so it was that pink blazer. So it started off as a pink suit. So I bought it as a suit.
Mhm.
And we sometimes think, oh, suits are just for the office. But then I like to share. No, you can wear it to the office, but then they're separate. So you can pull it apart. You can wear the blazer this way. You can wear the pants this way
Right.
and share style tips that way because I really want my readers. It says, teach a man to fish and he'll feed himself his whole life. So that's really my whole goal is to help my audience get these tips and tricks so they can be
Right.
putting together outfits on their own.
Right.
So,
The
yeah.
shopping your closet
Mhm.
thing, right?
Yes.
Like having the right foundations in place.
Exactly. Exactly. And not that I won't, and I do have women write in all the time because they are on a budget. Not, and everybody's budget is different. So I do try to visit those brands that have less expensive items like Walmart. I like the scoop line over on Walmart. So I will share that from time to time. I do try to take those things into consideration too. Not everybody has an unlimited budget, but then also I will come along and say, okay, yes, you can buy this Walmart dress for $30, but if you think you're splurging, but if you buy that $200 dress and you wear it for 5 years, it's the cost per wear is going to be much less than that $30 Walmart item that maybe only lasts a year or 2 years.
Right.
So, but
Right.
anyway, that's just that's
Yeah.
my thinking process of what I share and the brands I partner with and the products that I like
Mhm.
they like to tell. But we also know that influencing isn't just about fashion. I mean, now if you're a small business, you most likely are going to have an online presence.
Right.
And you can probably speak to that, Chelsea, because you're a realtor. And so you have a presence online with your real estate
Yeah.
business, right?
Mhm.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, I had to kind of go into the quote unquote content creation influencing realm,
Yeah.
even though I'm definitely not an influencer. But I didn't even really want to have to do that, but you kind of have to
Yeah.
because every
Everybody
other real estate
is.
agent, in the Atlanta area is on Instagram and it's about making funny content and
Mhm.
showing houses. And really, on my realm of it, it's about gaining clients, right? Or not necessarily gaining clients every time I post, but reminding people that I am in real estate.
Mhm.
So that Sally Sue, the next time she thinks, oh, I need to sell my house or I want to buy a house, she thinks, oh, Chelsea.
That's
Yeah.
right.
So that's kind of what it's about for me. But
Mhm.
there's definitely even real estate content creators or influencers that have quite a big following for what I would say real estate is.
Mhm.
50,000 followers on
Mhm.
their Instagram. And
Right.
They definitely, I mean, they batch out the content just like you do. And it really is about gaining clients
Right.
just in a different way.
So then they have 2 jobs that they're
Then they have
working.
then they have two jobs.
Yes.
But I think ultimately what it comes down to, like you said, is they have a team.
Mhm.
I mean, even in real estate, I have a team. I have a contract coordinator, I have a lender, I have a closing attorney. It's not just me.
Right.
I could never do all of that. And it's the same with you. You know, you've got
Mhm.
Kelly that does a lot of the blog.
Mhm.
I do a portion of that in the
Mhm.
Instagram. And,
Mhm.
you've got Christian that does the videography and the editing.
Right.
Because if it was just you,
Pinterest team. I know.
I mean,
Well, and I remember when it was just me, and that was before Kelly came on board
Mhm.
5 years ago
Yeah.
in 2019, and I was really at my wit's end
Mhm.
because I only could do so much in a day.
Yeah.
And I really realized that
yeah.
it's either stay small, which you could totally do,
Mhm.
if that's what you want to do. I mean, the cool thing is you have choices on how you want to grow or not grow or
Right.
what your presence is going to be. So I realized at that time I could stay small and just be I mean, Mac was so live then, just be a mom and pop shop or start to expand.
Yeah.
So, and I decided to expand. So yeah,
Mhm.
it's turned into quite the small business, but a family business too, which is really very fun.
Yes, it is actually. And I
Mhm.
think that's what's unique about it's probably not totally unique. I'm sure there's lots of small businesses like influencing that
Uh-huh.
have family members that, pinch hit and help
Mhm.
out and do whatever. But
Mhm.
you've really turned this into something that we're all,
Mhm.
I mean, we moved here to be a part of this,
Mhm.
not only to be close to you, but also to
Mhm.
be a part of this. And
Right.
I think it's a very special,
Mhm.
special thing you've created.
Mhm.
So,
It is, and it's a lot of fun. Even though it's a lot of work,
mhm,
I do know that I love to show up every day. I mean, who gets to have this type of job? It's
right.
very, I mean, as we just said, very few of us, even though the
Mhm.
market's very saturated, but there's very few that really turn it into what we've been able to
Mhm.
turn it
Career.
into. And yes, and I'm going on a cruise in a couple of weeks. And that is, I'm going to be chronicling the cruise. I'm partnering with Windstar Cruises. And so
Mhm.
it's work, but it's also a lot of fun because I'm like, yeah, who gets to, who gets to go on a cruise and do that? So yeah.
Yeah, it's exciting.
But that's what a day in the life looks like with the blog. And since we will be celebrating 10 years next March, and so I think we need to have a special party.
We do.
But there again, always thinking going forward and what can we add? What can we added value can we bring to our audience? So the three of us
Mhm.
launched this podcast, Message from Mom, and which shares a whole different side of us. We're having conversations,
Mhm.
we're representing three different generations. We have many different topics that we address.
Mhm.
Some very lighthearted, like our Desert Island series, where we're either bringing a TV show or our favorite music or whatever to the desert
Mhm.
island, to something like this where I'm just kind of peeling back the curtain and depicting what the Wizard of Oz really looks like in the influencing business. But yes, this has been our latest venture, and we've added on a podcast, which
Yeah.
is. But there again, we have a videographer. We have. There's a lot of hard work that goes in behind it, and we have questions. So we have a foundational piece. Like recently, we talked about the Olympics, and then we were talking about
Mhm.
not only what we liked about the Olympics, but how it's broadcast these days and how that changed, from when I was growing up.
Mhm.
So we kind of take a little deep dive into that and have questions. And then we also film three at a time. So we batch that
We
out.
do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So
I think
it's a
I
long
think
day.
I think the whole I was going to ask you like specifically how do you keep it fresh and how do you
Mm-hmm.
stay kind of because it can get hard to
Mm-hmm.
be doing the same thing with
Mm-hmm.
any job.
Mm-hmm.
And influencing and doing fashion is just like any
Mm-hmm.
other job when it comes down to it, the
It is.
day-to-day grind of it, the
Mm-hmm.
amount of work you have to do, the amount of time you have to put into it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really, you have to constantly kind of be thinking, how can I move forward? How can we stay relevant? How
That's
can
right.
we keep going
Mm-hmm.
and keep people interested and also interest ourselves? And I think a really big part of why we finally got to do this podcast was that for years you had been talking about
Mm-hmm.
wanting to do something like this and we
Mm-hmm.
just didn't know
Mm-hmm.
what it was going to be. And I
That's right.
think once Chelsea, expressed interest in wanting to participate, it kind of became this, okay, well, we can have this conversation podcast, which is, it's really kind of hit the mark, I think, as far as what Style at a Certain Age is all about and what you're all about in terms
it's been
of
really fun to do. And there's people that I follow in the real estate world that they started podcast and they do it based on real estate. And, ultimately I obviously do real estate and I love real estate, but I think for me, this has been great because it's not real estate and it kind of, puts me into a different world, but I enjoy talking about stuff other than real estate sometimes, like I just want to talk about life and
and that's what this
passion and whatever we do.
This podcast is all about.
It's a very refreshing step forward.
Yes,
for sure.
Style at a Certain Age.
And I think that that's breathed new life into the blog for me anyway, because I get to step away from that. And then have this whole new vehicle. And also then we've also turned it into, we have an Instagram account for Message for Mom and a TikTok account. And so we take little snippets of not only our podcast, but we do have a fashion reel that we share every week. So we'll have like maybe a dress and we each, pick out a dress and then we share that dress. So it's not just style at a certain age, but style at any age. So that's also been very fun to do as well.
Yeah.
So, but keeping the blog fresh, I will just go back to the movie Devil Wears Prada. And one of my favorite lines, and I think this is a very memorable line, and they're at one of their meetings and they're talking about the spring issue. And one of the editors comes up and she's like, "Oh, these florals are so amazing." And Miranda goes, "Florals for spring? Groundbreaking." Right? And that's how you feel sometimes. I mean, any job feels like that. And so, so keeping it fresh, you really do have to work very hard at keeping it fresh because it's like, because we really are a modern day magazine in many regards over on the blog and our social channels. So it's like, yes, okay, it's fall. So we have chunky boots again. So how are we going to style those chunky boots and those jeans? So but
I think the only thing that we can actually rely on in that respect is that we are always authentic. And I think that's probably what, when stuff gets like, again with the chunky knit,
I know,
or the, Chelsea boots or whatever, it's like, but we can bring it in a way that's authentic.
That's
good. I mean, that's life. I think anyone probably feels that way about their job. There's always going to be.
That's right. Every job you feel like that.
So you just kind of have to push through.
You do, and it's going to be
sure.
It really, really is. And and I know, I mean, we're going to wrap this up, but I was just thinking about, because I just faced this over on Facebook. So it is very interesting because we do have a social media presence, and so there is bound to be some negative comments and some negative, thoughts, not only about you, your outfit, your weight, or, whatever it is. And I will just share for me that anymore when they come over and talk about if they don't like an outfit, I don't care at all about that. That's totally fine. But if they're going to slice and dice, like perhaps you, or we also have a beauty editor, or if it's you, Chelsea, or if they're personally attacking me, I won't put up with that anymore. I'm like, this platform is to build women up. And if you can't do that, I will block you.
Yeah.
And so I actually come along and say that now. Now, if they want to come along and bash my outfit, I mean, it's very funny to me. It's like they think that I'm taking it personally or something, because I had this exchange because they thought I was wearing suede boots with a summer dress, and it was a sleeveless leather dress. So I just came along to share it's a sleeveless leather dress with suede boots, so that would be a normal thing to wear. And they think that I'm being defensive or that I can't take criticism. It's like, so I've learned to turn that into humor now. So now I'm just like, I do a lot of LOLs or laughing emojis, and also just share. Listen, this isn't about winning or losing. The blog isn't about winning or losing. It's not about, having the perfect outfit every single day, but it is all about supporting women, B, sharing style tips freely. We don't, there's never any charge to zip in on any one of the social channels. So I've been very vocal about that now too. It's like, listen, It's not about winning or losing. You like the outfit, don't like the outfit, you want to bash it, totally fine. But I do find it interesting that the negative, if when they don't like an outfit, that's when you have 500 comments. When they like an outfit, you get like 2 comments. I'm exaggerating a little bit here, but not really.
Yeah.
But yes, but I really have been in the business now for a while. I don't put up with a lot of nonsense like that anymore.
Yeah.
And no, you don't have to like my outfit, but hello, it's an outfit. It's like, and that's
No
why
one's dying over it.
it's not neurosurgery. Yeah, nobody's dying about it. And I've shared with them. And guess what? I will have a new outfit tomorrow. So, so that,
Like
yeah,
Megan.
yeah. So that's how it is. But yes, but I am really big on, I think both of you know this, supporting women, supporting, families, supporting, friends. I think that that's very important. And that is, I guess, maybe one aspect too, of bringing it back to keeping it real, keeping it fresh. That's one thing that we strive to do.
Sure.
Okay, well, a day in the life. Yep. We just shared
Not all
that.
roses.
Mhm. So we're going to take a quick break and we will be back with New and Noteworthy. Okay, so we are back with my favorite segment, and that's where we ladies get to share something new or noteworthy. So it could be a TV show, it could be a product, it could be, I don't know, maybe you've even discovered a new food or something, a new dish or something. I don't
I
know.
hadn't even thought about
I
that.
know we haven't even thought about that, but
Might have to look into that.
but I do love to share. That's what women are really good about doing. So, so Kelly, I'll kick it off with you. So, what do you have this week that's
Okay.
new and noteworthy?
Oh, well, I have a movie.
Uh-huh. A movie.
Big surprise,
Uh-huh.
everybody. So this is a new movie directed by Jeff Nichols, and I've actually been maybe about 2.5, 3 years ago or so, I got wind of this movie, heard that it was being made, got really excited about who was in it, very excited, and it finally came out, and I saw it, and I loved it. It's called The Bike Riders.
Uh-huh.
So it's a crime drama, but it's set in I want to say it's set in the 60s.
Uh-huh.
But the guys, they're a motorcycle gang, so they kind of look like greasers. So you've got this whole kind of 50s aesthetic still happening.
Andrew and I almost watched this the other night.
gosh.
Did you?
No, we didn't, but we almost did.
It's really good. So there's a lot of people that I really love in it. Tom Hardy, Michael Shannon, and Norman Reedus are in it, amongst many others.
Oh, Austin Butler's in it.
Austin Butler. Yeah. So it's about this motorcycle gang in Chicago area in the 60s. And it's one of those movies that just really is right up my alley for all things. Motorcycles, period piece, cute guys.
Okay.
Yeah.
Love it.
Great.
All right.
Very good.
It's on my list. All right, Chelsea, what do you have?
I have a fashion item. So it's a Ralph Lauren hooded longline quilted jacket that I bought through the Nordstrom anniversary sale.
Oh, nice.
And I got it in black, and it came in. I really like it. I'm not like Carrie Bradshaw on Sex and the City was always obsessed with shoes. Like shoes were her thing. That's what jackets are to me.
You're a coat person.
I am a coat person. I love a jacket. So I normally will buy, if there's jackets on sale, normally J. Crew will do like jacket sales now, or they'll do it like right before fall hits. So no one's really thinking like, oh, I want to buy this coat, but then they'll do them half off. And so that's when I buy my jacket.
Very smart.
That's a good tip.
So, but this one came in and I like it. It's very simple. It's kind of like a classic, just black coat. And I needed a black coat because the one that I had was a little just dated and older.
I love Ralph Lauren. And he actually has great outerwear. I have a number of his jackets and a number of his coats. And he does a really good job with, I mean, I love that brand to begin with, but I really love his outerwear. So I know you'll really get a lot of good get out of that.
I will.
Okay. Well, since we are talking about being an influencer today, and so I really am always on the lookout for the next, cute sweater, jeans, shoes, and products too, and skincare, because I truly believe in good skincare. And I don't care how old you are or if you've neglected your skin your entire life, it is never too late to get a great skincare routine together. And I like skincare products as well as skincare devices. And so I recently partnered with Foreo, even though I've had this product for many years, but I recently partnered with them too. It's so they have a skincare device. It's called the UFO, and it has different masks. So it's just like really a mini mask treatment with red and green light therapy.
Oh,
Very easy to use. It's 2 minutes, and I usually for sure do it on the days I step in front of the camera because it just
Mhm.
really gives a nice little glow to my skin. And it just really it has an app, so it hooks up to your phone. The mask treatment, you have somebody talking to you. The red light therapy now is going to be doing this. So it's just 2 minutes, and
very
then
soothing.
it really is,
Mhm.
and it's
Yeah.
a great product, and I will link it down below if you're interested in that. But it's called the UFO mask, and they have probably about 10 or 15 different masks that you can
Mhm.
choose
Wow.
from.
Wow.
Yeah, depending on what you want. Maybe one has more hyaluronic acid in it. Maybe another one has more. It's more hydrating. So lots of
Mm.
different ones to choose from. But I
Nice.
really love this product and have been using it for at least 5 years.
Wow.
Yeah, it's really good. Okay, ladies.
All right.
Well, that wraps up another episode of Message from Mom, where we're busting the myth that mothers in law aren't necessarily monsters in law.